Hello and welcome back to the SimTech podcast, the show where we dive deep into the world of clinical simulation, exploring the people, the ideas, and the innovations that make it all possible. I'm your host Craig, and today we're shining a light on a real unique project, the Off-Duty Doctor course. Today I'm joined by Channon and Helen, who have been at the heart of developing and delivering this course. It's designed to give resident doctors essential skills and confidence outside of their clinical duties, preparing them for the unexpected challenges that come with life both inside and outside the hospital walls. We'll be talking about where the ideas come from, how it's been received by participants, and why simulation plays such a key role in its success. So whether you're a simulation technician, an educator, or just curious about how we can better prepare doctors for real-world situations, stick around. This conversation will give you some great insights. So, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to another episode of the SimTech podcast. Today we are going into a very special project that was created by a very dear friend of mine who has now left us, unfortunately.
No.
And it's all to do with a course that we created called the Off-Duty Doctor course. To help me to do that, I brought along two very special guests. Special guest number one, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Channon. So I was the simulation teaching fellow at CDDFT, and I've since moved roles into core training.
Have you settled in now?
Yeah, finding my feet a little bit. It's a different world. So.
Yeah. And who have you brought with you?
And I've got my dear friend Helen, who has been well and truly roped into this project.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Helen. I'm one of Shannon's friends. We did our foundation training together. I'm one of the A&E trainees over at North Tees at the moment, but worked with Channon at James Cook for a couple of years.
Yeah, all right. So we're here to talk about the Off-Duty Doctor course. How did that idea come about?
Where to start? So I think originally the idea came from being first on scene to a medical emergency at the motorway, which I found deeply traumatic at the time. And actually it was that incident that made me reflect and think, the general public expects us to know what to do and expects us to be able to help. And
Because you're doctors and you're infallible and you make no mistakes.
But actually in that situation I was an F2 and I didn't have a clue what to do.
Yeah, because realistically you're out there, you've got no equipment, and you've just got your brain and your hands, haven't you? And you're in this scenario. And I think, does everybody, I know most clinicians probably imagine these scenarios in their head, and what happens if this happens now, etc. Helen, do you have those kind of thoughts when you may be getting in some kind of confined space with no real emergency services access?
Yeah, I think especially going on a plane, I'm thinking, first I just really can't settle, thinking, what's going to happen? This is kind of everyone's probably worst nightmare, really. Trains, planes, anywhere where you've not got your kit and your hospital and all the stuff you normally use. It's a whole different world out there, especially, and people hear the word doctor and they just think you know what you're doing, but we know just as much as anyone else really in terms of being on a plane.
Yeah, have you actually ever heard, is there a doctor on board at any time?
I thankfully haven't, although just after we started to get the ball rolling with the project, then got on a long haul flight and there was an announcement being like, we've got a person on board with a severe nut allergy, and I was like on high alert for the rest of the flight, just panicking.
Yeah. Ellen, any experiences with it?
Thankfully not. I'm sure that time will come, but
no,
not for now.
All right, so you've had this idea, and you kind of know where you wanted to go with it. How did you think about the design of the course?
Yeah, I think so. The idea is one thing, and then kind of looking into, why are we in this situation of where we'll be expected by the public to know what to do and we don't. So spent some time looking into kind of undergraduate curriculums, what the GMC states, so what's kind of like our ethical and moral duty, what's the legality surrounding it, do we have to help? If we do help, how are we covered? So looking at the Good Samaritan Act. And then from that, chatting to colleagues, chatting to different experts, trying to work out kind of what do people want, and is this a learning need that we perceive it to be? So we put a kind of scope and survey out in November to the All Doctors in Training at Carrick and Darlington Trust and South Tees Trust to identify kind of what their experiences was, whether they felt that this was a learning need, what experience they had, what kind of education that they might want delivering.
Is there any other courses out there that are like this?
So there's no specific courses as such. There is a couple of courses that are run privately by kind of Mediair, which are the doctors on the ground for aircraft.
So like a first responders kind of thing?
Yeah, for doctors. So there is a couple that are like aviation specific, but nothing which is more general at the basic level. So like we targeted for newly qualified doctors, so F1s and F2s that are fresh out of medical school. And we didn't find anything on the market that kind of appealed to them.
Yeah. And Helen, how did you get roped into this? And you said that you're newer, but was you interested or thinking about this kind of stuff, or was you just kind of, convinced that this course had merits?
No, I kind of interested from kind of my own perspective as well. Obviously, I am from kind of an A&E background, so I kind of like all things trauma and messy from that side of things. But I think the whole point of this is the basics. It's not about doing the advanced A&E skills. It's about doing the basics right and keeping yourself safe. And I think that was the big thing about the course, is not just running like a lunatic into the middle of the motorway because there's someone lying on the floor, is actually thinking, well, actually, am I going to get run over in the process of doing that? So the safety side of it, and then obviously the kind of the legalities of it, because lots of people don't know the legal side of your responsibilities and what was happen. For example, if you made a mistake,
or if you've had
like
a cheeky gin and tonic on the aeroplane.
Exactly, and that's they're the kind of the real life things that people want to know. So yes, was interested, and then Channon kind of via WhatsApp conversations and various chats and things kind of got more and more roped in, and then kind of it snowballed from there really, and never looked back.
So when because you were working in the simulation centre while you had this idea, I assume that it's all based around simulation.
Yeah, so simulation's a massive component and part of the day. And actually, I'm a big believer in kind of like your mixed methods and kind of your different educational methods to appeal to everybody's learning needs. So we didn't just want to kind of design a typical sim day. We wanted to design a bespoke course to address their learning needs. So it was a combination of kind of interactive workshops, seminar style sessions. So giving them that knowledge at the start. So talking about kind of the legality, talking about non-technical skills and human factors, what skills that they use in a clinical environment, how they then translate to being out in the community without any resources or kit. And then, went on to kind of making a good 999 call, scene safety, and I think every session kind of really emphasised scene safety. And it's something that us as doctors were probably not very good at, kind of because we're used to looking after patients in lovely, safe hospital environments.
Yep.
And then we developed with the help of one of our colleagues, a tactical decision-making game. So getting them a chance to practically apply some skills. We had a high-fid sim that was a catastrophic hemorrhage. And then we had kind of an interactive kind of workshop, case-based scenario, followed then by 360 VR of medical emergency on board an aeroplane, medical emergency at the roadside.
So it's all kind of built around a round robin theme, and
Yeah.
we're splitting into small groups, and then you've got a VR, you've got a gamification, and then kind of a workshop. Is that how it works? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many courses have you run so far?
So we've only run the pilot so far, which we did back in June, and that was a chance. Obviously, we spent such a long time developing this content because getting an aeroplane is really difficult, as we learned.
Yeah, well, we didn't
come
think
on
it
to
was
that.
going to be too easy, did we? Yeah.
So actually, there was so much work that went on behind the scenes, but the June date was a chance to test the material, to test the concept, to kind of work out, what works, what needs changing. And actually, across the board, it was generally well received by the participants that came and got involved. There was some good feedback, some suggested changes that we can make some tweaks, but obviously we're going to put it out to a larger population next year.
How long did it take to plan this then? Because obviously you're only at the centre for such a short time. It seems like quite a big project.
Yeah, I think I've probably been talking about this project since F2.
Yeah.
After I had my motorway incident, I was kind of thinking about it, and then obviously coming to work at the Sim Centre was a great opportunity. You know, you've got contact with so many people with so many different skills and experience, and actually it was a chance to build that course. But probably is from August to June, I would say, was planning, logistics, getting input from everybody else. And
Yeah, I mean, how did you prioritise what made it onto the course? Because you know, doctors can be put into so many different environments where they might be called upon. How did you kind of prioritise? These were the ones that I thought were, you know, most important, most prevalent.
I think it was through discussion, wasn't it, Helen? It was, you know, obviously we did that survey, we got some feedback from the trainees, which guided it, but then through discussion with Helen, with Dr. Mandels, who's kind of our sim lead here, from a couple of doctors with expertise in pre-hospital medicine, and just it was through that discussion with the different experts that we were able to kind of fine-tune what we were going to include.
I think obviously, as you mentioned, the variety of scenarios is huge as to where you could be asked to assist, but we tried to pick the kind of the big hitters, you know, the ones where you're over the Atlantic 2 hours away from any form of other medical assistance, or you're in a dangerous environment like a road or something like that, versus, you know, being at a concert where there's probably going to be first aiders and medics and, you know, probably an ambulance, you know, outside the doors of the stadium. So we're trying to pick particularly anxiety-inducing environments or challenging environments with a lot of like human factors and non-technical skills. I think they were probably the areas that we focused on to kind of, you know, underpin the course. So like the aeroplane and the roadside one particularly.
Yeah, because like you say, it's that isolation of not being able to get help when you are the help, but we're heavily reliant on stuff, aren't we?
Yeah, and it's that kind of working with nothing, and actually I think that's what the non-technical skills and the human factors workshop was really useful for in the morning, was kind of bringing it home to them that they do have all of these other skills that are not in the form of kind of a toolkit in a hospital, but it's the leadership, it's the people management, it's you know, your communication skills that in that situation you need and you need to utilise.
Yeah, so let's talk about the human factors workshop. Who ran that for you?
So that was me.
Mm-hmm. How did it go?
I think it went really well. I've had the opportunity to run a few human factors non-technical skills workshops across the year, which was really useful, and obviously I've sat in quite a few of Des's, which is also really useful. But from that kind of developed a session that was more tailored specifically for this course.
Yeah, and so with after the presentation in the morning, and then split up into the 3 groups, and then go into the 3 different round robin stations. And what were those again?
So the first one was your tactical decision making games.
Who did that one for you?
So that was Joe McRae, who's one of our teaching fellows.
Yeah, and this was essentially a board game.
Yeah, so it was a board game. It was basically, I think from how many people? 15 people have been hiking up a mountain. There's been a scree slide. You've got people injured, stuck, trapped. You've got, I don't know, I think it was like 10 turns or something to get them off the mountain. So it was a chance for them to kind of practically apply that kind of decision making, resourcefulness, you know, how can they manage that situation with whatever's around them. But actually thinking along the lines of like your hidden curriculum, what came out through that game, because it was like a team game, was your communication and the communication and decision making between each other, and that really came out nicely.
I mean, one of the challenges that I thought we had as well with it was time was quite tight, wasn't it, to run essentially a game like Monopoly and in with 45 minutes, was it?
Yeah, and that was the big feedback. I think the game is a great concept, but for us, as looking at the feedback we got, we need to strip it back, we need to make it more simple.
Yeah, because even within your 45 minutes, you've still got to explain the rules and make sure everyone understands the concepts. And then you've got a little bit of time afterwards, to cool down. So that really only gives you probably about half an hour, doesn't it, realistically, to play the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think our first attempt was a little bit too ambitious.
Yeah, so we piloted it first for the teaching fellows, and it was definitely more like 2 hours than 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So from that, we did strip it back. But following the pilot course, we're going to strip it back again. But I think as a concept, it's a great concept. It just needs kind of fine-tuning a little bit, and we've got some time to work on that before we deliver it again.
So once you've done the board game, what's one of the other workshops?
So catastrophic hemorrhage. Do you want to talk about that, Helen? Because you were...
Yes, we did like a high-fidelity simulation of catastrophic hemorrhage. So kind of the the student or the doctor kind of goes into this room, and there's someone that they're kind of brushed past by an assailant who's running off, and there's a person lying in the middle of the road who's been stabbed. And it's a relatively intimidating situation to be put in especially even in a simulated setting, and obviously even more in real life. So we were trying to emphasise several things. So obviously the management of catastrophic hemorrhage and bleeding, and how you might go about doing that in a non-hospital setting, because that's obviously significantly different to what you do in hospital. But then also the scene safety, and are you just going to run blindly into the middle of a scene and you've no idea where the knife is or the attacker is or anything like that. So thinking about that side of things. So it was kind of a dual, as with the whole course, there's a little bit of medicine and there's a lot of non-technical skills and human factors, and how are you going to incorporate that into the management of that scene. They enjoyed it. We did a kind of debrief afterwards. We kind of covered a little bit more about how to manage bleeding, and then kind of covered the emotional side of it. It was interesting to see the different responses. Some kind of the doctors just ran straight in and there was straight hands on. Some of them were a lot more, I'm going to wait and just make sure that this is definitely safe. So it was interesting to see the different approaches and kind of unpick all that in the debrief. And
not too much pressure for someone going in, because they didn't have a great deal of information before they went in, did they? And before you know it, you've got this assailant barging past them, and then you've got this guy practically bleeding to death on the floor. Lots of blood everywhere.
Yeah, nice and messy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the feedback was good. They really enjoyed it. I think it was the right level. I think it pushed them to the next level without pushing them too far and making them stressed, and the whole thing becoming useless essentially. And ultimately, in the community setting, you're not going to get warning that you're going to come across these things. You know, you'll end up at the scene of a car crash, or you're on a plane and that announcement goes out. You don't get a lot of pre-planning, and that's the whole point, is to just throw them right in and sort of see how they react.
Could this course be run without a high-fidelity simulation suite? Could we just, like say, do it in an education centre? Would it still kind of work?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the whole goal of designing the course, was that we wanted it to be kind of transferable. The idea is that we've designed this course, built this content, but actually we would love it to be able for other centres to be like, okay, that's great, this is a resource, let's pick up and run it. So although we utilised the Sim Suite here, because we have that available to us, we can run a low-fid alternative which covers kind of the same principles. And I think what was really good about that scenario was we've talked a lot about human factors and they've discussed it. We've talked about scene safety, we've talked about situational awareness, but actually it puts them in that situation and gets them to be able to experience or not experience what it's like to lose complete situational awareness.
Yeah, and like I say, there's no replication for that kind of shock value of going in and seeing someone bleed, and almost your fight and flight instincts kind of take over, don't they? And that's what was really interesting for me watching, is that we saw the same scenario 3 times, and each scenario was completely different of how people reacted to it. What would really be interesting again is, taking it to the next level, doing it outside, away from simulation. There's so many different ways you could take it, but I'm trying to say, do you think you could show them a video or something with, have the same kind of impact without actors, without immersive backgrounds, without cameras and microphones, in a classroom, just like we're in now? Would it have the same value?
I'm not sure it'd have the same shock wow factor, but I think it would still have educational value.
Yeah.
And actually, if you were delivering an education centre that didn't have a sim suite, you could still take them outside. You could take them to that grassy verge on the edge of the
Because that's what we do in the military. We do all of our training outside, and I still remember to this day my first pretend casualty, where there's blood everywhere, and you just lock up, don't you? Your mind don't work well, and then afterwards you're like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. You really reflect on it, don't you? And I hope in the future you do it differently. So what was your third workshop then? So you've done the game, you've done the high fidelity simulation.
Yeah, so the third one was kind of like an interactive case-based workshop it was focused on kind of you're out on a night and you've come across somebody collapsed in an alleyway that's drunk, they lose their airway, kind of how you're managing that on your own, and was very much kind of like a step-by-step case-based discussion with the participants.
a little bit of a step back from games and high fidelity simulation. So a little bit of maybe a more steady workshop for them, because we don't want to bounce them off the roof too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you've done your 3 workshops, maybe a little bit of a break in the day for them.
Yes.
And then what happens after that?
So after that, we then did our 360 VR sims.
And what sims were those? So we've mentioned an aeroplane already.
Yep, so we had a medical emergency on board an aeroplane, and medical emergency at the roadside, so car v cyclists, which were probably the most fun part of designing the course.
Yeah, I've got to say we had the first challenge of trying to find an aeroplane, which very generous company let you borrow an aeroplane.
Yeah, well, we tried to get a lovely commercial airline to support us on that one, but unfortunately it never kind of came to fruition.
Why would you have preferred them over?
I think we would have preferred a commercial airline because you would have that more realism. You are in a kind of a more of a cramped plane. So
because there's an element of MDT there, isn't there? Because you are working with air hostesses and maybe the pilot or the co-pilot. So having real life experience would have helped from it.
And it would have helped from their side of things. So like we would have been able to have, their protocols, procedures. We're very fortunate that through kind of networking we were able to contact people and get some input from the aviation side to make sure that what we were doing was actually right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, did you learn anything in the process?
I don't want to be an air hostess.
I'm not a very good air hostess. We did have an actual air hostess that was meant to be coming to support us on filming on the day, but unfortunately she had to go and be an air hostess that day. So
well, her loss.
Yeah,
so where did you find an aeroplane then in the end?
So we were really fortunate. We went. I don't know if it was Instagram. It just popped up. I must have been talking about planes that much that my
your phone recognised you were talking about it.
Adverts was this flight simulator in Manchester, so Deck 747. And it's a little bit different from a conventional flight simulator, so they don't just have the cockpit. They've got basically an old Boeing 747 and they've got the full first class cabin, which obviously that's what we were interested in, is using that. So yeah, I went to have a look and it was a really convincing aeroplane and I thought this space will work, so we hired that.
Yeah, I mean, in the end it actually worked out really well, didn't it? Because not only did we have the fuselage, but we also had a little nice area sheltered with tables and stuff for all the admin and all the other stuff that we took with us. Did you do all this on your own? Who was there with us?
Oh no, absolutely didn't do it on my own. So we had our core sim team, we had lovely Helen, we had a couple of doctors that I've worked with, a friend from medical school and some friends and family that got roped in.
Yeah, because we really needed to fill those seats, didn't we? Yeah. All work out in the end. You were happy with the result?
Yeah, I think the footage is really good. And it was trial and error, wasn't it? We were figuring it out as we went. We had a little bit of panic when the camera
we had our own
decided
challenges,
to
didn't we? Because we didn't just do one scenario there, did we? We decided to try to do 3 scenarios.
Yeah, so we filmed a cardiac arrest on a plane, hyposeizure, and non-speaking English, shortness of breath.
Mm-hmm. And each of the scenarios had to be recorded in 3 parts, and we do each part 3 times. So as you can imagine, the camera took a little bit of a beating that day, didn't it?
Yeah.
We were worried about battery, but actually because it was in the middle of a heat wave practically, and they left the heaters on in the aeroplane, it got a little bit warm in there, didn't it?
It was absolutely roasting.
Yeah. So I think out of all of it, I think we just missed 1 take, didn't we, of the cardiac arrest?
Yeah, which was a shame, but actually, when that's the one we used on the day when we ran the course, and with the 2 takes, there was enough there to debrief and kind of pull out of it.
Yeah. All right. So you've got 1 VR in an aeroplane. Where was your others?
Our other was car v cyclist, which again has a complete different set of challenges, being that you're filming outside in the open, that you need a road to film it on because you can't just go film it on any road because that would involve police and council and permits, and we didn't have time for any of that.
So where did you find a road?
So I'm quite fortunate that some friends of mine have a farm, and we used their farm track, which was convention of a country road.
Yeah.
And it was like it had a crest of a hill, which was really useful.
Yeah, and as a bonus, you got to run days over, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to run over my educational supervisor. Not many trainees can say that.
Yeah, and did you use the same people for the aeroplane VR for the cyclist one?
Yeah, so quite a few of the same people are in it. All doctors, but all playing very different roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so suddenly our really helpful doctor that was on the plane managing the arrest was then not a doctor, but a kind of a friend in the car that didn't want to get out and assist. So.
Yeah, I mean, it breaks kind of the simulation rules a little bit, doesn't it, using the same people for things, but convenience, it really helped, didn't it? Because there was a lot of moving parts trying to get everyone in the same place at the same time with the same kit. It can be quite challenging, can't it? And I think that was one of probably the hardest part, wasn't it, is trying to organise those kind of things.
Yeah, and time and date when everybody's available, and everybody's got different rotas and.
And I think as well, like the logistics of particularly the aeroplane day was huge. Writing the scenarios, getting the kit, getting the people and everyone, and lots of people hadn't even met each other. Yeah. So like to go and film right from the offset scenarios, the quality of the scenarios and the kind of the whole day, I think it was just a massive team effort, and like a huge thanks to everyone that came and helped that day, because there was a lot of planning and preparation from everybody involved, and I think the quality and the feedback from the VR scenarios was amazing, and the guys loved it. Yeah. And I think it was just really, really well executed.
Yeah, I kind of echo that. I think everyone really pulled it together on the day, didn't they? We weren't sure how it was going to go. You can plan and you can plan. But it just takes something as little as the camera don't work on the day.
Yeah, and it's mad because we were like the day before, me and you were sat there like, what can go wrong? Yeah. What's going to go wrong tomorrow? And the camera overheating wasn't on our list.
Yeah. All we have to do is it charged? That was probably it. Okay, so you've anything else on the day? So you've done your VR. What's at the end of the day?
So then kind of we did a generic roundup with everybody from the sessions, and then that's when we collated feedback, thanked them for their participation in the day, and just kind of did a generic close, see what they got out of it.
Yeah, how was you going to measure it if it was successful or not?
So we completed a pre and post course questionnaire, and basically we had 3 main domains. So one was like human factors, technical skills, confidence and preparedness for assisting in emergencies and different scenarios, and then kind of legality, and then some free text questions. So we had specific kind of Likert scale questions rating their confidence and preparedness before the day, after the day, and then we had some kind of asked them to rate each individual session out of 10 and give some free text feedback, because that's what we're going to use to kind of improve the day for going forward.
Before the evaluation went in and you looked at it, how did you feel that it went before you even understood what they thought of it? Did you feel it went well?
I think it went really well. I was really nervous on the morning because obviously a lot of work had gone into this. And I was like, oh my God, nobody's going to show up.
It's the things you can't control, isn't it? It just takes one person being sick or ill. It has a massive effect on this. But it seemed to go well on the day. I thought it did. You can tell, can't you? You've got a little bit of a gut feeling, and you can read you can read the feeling in the room, can't you? If they're enjoying it, because they're talking, they're interacting, and you can just you get that feeling in the atmosphere, don't you?
Yeah, and we're so fortunate with this project that we've had some incredibly supportive consultants that have really kind of got involved and supported it. So like on the day, we had an incredible team.
Yeah, well, I think we were anxious no one was going to turn up, weren't we? But they did turn up. Which was good, and like you say, you can read the room, and they were enjoying it, and yes, there's always going to be things going forwards we can tweak and modify, but the overall overwhelming response was really positive, with some really constructive feedback going forwards, which is always nice.
Yeah, because realistically they've got skin in the game, haven't they? This kind of stuff can happen to any of them, so they've all got this interest in how do I deal with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, it was interesting actually, because one of the participants emailed me a few days later being like, you'll never guess what happened on Friday night. And they'd had a medical emergency while they were out on Friday night, and they were saying that the course really helped prepare them. And I just thought,
I hope you've captured this, because that's obviously it's gold, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what we wanted the whole course, isn't it? That's what it's about. It's not about developing the next trauma doctor. It's about people being first on the scene, and it's their worst nightmare, and they just know how to deal with it and how to to keep calm and
Yeah, but it
just do the
almost makes
basics.
it completely worthwhile already. Even if nobody else gets anything out of it, you've helped one
Yeah.
person go through a very tricky situation, and hopefully you're there. You're saving lives through that way, aren't you? All right. So what's next then? You've done your one course here. We just put it to bed.
Absolutely not.
No, too much work, too much effort.
No, too much work, too much effort. And actually, it's such an important educational need. We have arranged with South Tees to go across there next year and deliver it for all of their foundation year 1 and year 2 doctors at their kind of generic skills teaching, which is an incredible opportunity because that's one going to give us numbers, so we're going to get the number of participants through the course.
How are you advertising properly? Are you putting anything on social media or?
No, so not at the moment. So this is going to be advertised through the trust. So their doctors basically once a month go to some teaching, and they've got a lot of content that they want to get in. But we spoke to their team, and they were really keen to kind of get our day involved over there. So from that'll give us. Because the problem was when we advertised it here, it was kind of internal to foundation doctors and up the road to James Cook. But the people that wanted to come signed up, whereas when we go run it next year, it's going to be open to everyone. So they're there kind of to get their core hours. They're not necessarily there
so
because
you've
they
got
want to
They've
be
got
there.
to come
a
rather than choose
captured
to
audience?
come.
Well, you
Yeah.
know how I feel about forced participation,
Well,
but it will be interesting to compare the
I
evaluation.
think it'll be
between.
insightful, won't it?
Yeah.
That even if you know, you don't want to be there, actually, if you take something away from it, and actually, this course hasn't necessarily been designed for your trauma lovers, your people like Helen. That the idea
It's
of
your trauma avoiders, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's what
it's
it
for
is.
people like me,
Yeah.
your psychiatrists that don't ever want to come across this.
Yeah, so I think the James Cook, it's a great opportunity, and I think it would be interesting to see the feedback from that, because I think if we can run it successfully and get good feedback from James Cook into an audience who are not forced to come, because clearly the adults are they're not being forced, but it's mandatory.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's a totally different audience, and if we can get it to run and get good feedback and kind of they take something from it, then I think that's the ultimate success of the course. That's what we want.
And if you had a magic wand, where would you see it?
I would love to go to the foundation program and show them what we've done, show them our content, and then other centres to adopt it and deliver it to their to their foundation doctors. That would be my.
Yeah, you see the same kind of thing, Helen?
Yeah, I think it's got wider use as well. I think we're running this for doctors and foundation doctors, but I think there's lots and lots of elements of this course that is applicable to much wider kind of healthcare streams, so kind of nursing staff, physios, and all kinds of healthcare and clinical staff. But I think we need to walk before we can run. So I think we need to see how we go at James Cook and then go from there.
Do you think much would have to change if you said, it's just it's no longer an off-duty doctor, it's just an off-duty clinician, for lack of a better word? How much would you have to change?
I think if we weren't just targeting it for doctors, I would probably want to film some of the 360 again, so it wasn't just doctors.
It'd be nice to have a little bit of a library there, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
So you
you've
could
got
pick
a
and
choice to
choose.
pick. I mean, the feedback was, they really enjoyed the cardiac arrest one, but actually they wanted to know if we had any other scenarios that weren't cardiac arrest, because they all felt quite comfortable in managing cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
So I think, when we run it again, we'll run one of the other scenarios. But yeah, so I'd probably tweak the content of that. The non-technical side of things, human factors side of things, I think is the same, and you might just change the angle of some of the things. But the tactical decision-making game is relevant, whatever your profession is, basically.
Brilliant. All right, so I've got the last little part, and it's a couple of quick-fire questions for you. What's the biggest thing that you learned during your course?
Project management, people management.
Tell me about it.
Didn't take that into consideration in the slightest. Finances.
Finances was a tricky one, wasn't it? Yeah, because aeroplanes don't come cheap, do they?
No. Thank you. Carried it down just.
One piece of kit you couldn't do without.
Ooh.
Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, Teams.
Was a lot of
Yes.
organisational documents and things on that.
Yes.
Yeah. What about VR headsets? If you didn't have access to those, how would your course run?
I think you'd struggle. You'd have to change the complete modality of the last two scenarios. You could film it as a flat video, but I think filming it as a flat video, you lose that immersive element, don't you?
Yeah.
So they are kind of pivotal to the course itself, especially at present.
Yeah. What about your dream guest instructor? If you could have one person on the course all the time, who would you invite? And they can't say no.
Oh. Well, who would you invite?
Who would I have?
A cat. Do I have to know them now?
Well, was there someone in the course who was like, you know what, they bring so much to it, I wouldn't even want to run the course without them again?
Shannon.
Yeah, I'd like to say.
Oh. That's cute.
Shannon, you can't say Helen.
That's not fair. I don't know, because we had 2 fantastic consultants that have supported all the way through. And can I have 2 people?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'd have Ollie and Des, because their support's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's just get into a few bits of admin before we finish up. If people want to apply or know more about it, how do they get in touch with you?
So if you want to find out a little bit more, you could always drop me an email.
I'll put your email in the episode description so that people can contact you. How much is it then if people want to come on your course?
So we're not at that stage yet. We're still very much in the pilot kind of refining materials and getting out there for the foundation trainees. So
yeah, and have you got any aspirations to present this anywhere?
yeah, so hopefully, well, we're going to
Not hopefully, we are.
hopefully we are going to ASPE to this, was it November?
November.
we're
Hopefully
going-
in Bournemouth.
Hopefully in Bournemouth, yeah. So we're going there in November. We're going to present a poster, and then we're going to kind of write up the whole project and hopefully present it somewhere else as well.
Yeah, like I say, it'll be interesting to see where it is in a year when you've got loads of data to compare, because at the moment we've just got a small pile, but it's looking very positive in it. Any last words before we sign off? Anyone you'd like to thank or any final points?
I think generally just thank you to everybody that's been involved in the project, my colleagues that I've worked with, my friends and family that have been roped in to support, because we wouldn't have been able to do this without you guys.
Yeah, I've got to say the actors on the aeroplane, they really made it and they really sold that for us.
Yeah, 100%.
And same for you, Helen.
Craig, I want to thank you as well. Particularly, you've put a lot of work into this project and a lot of the tech and that side of things that I wouldn't have the first clue how to sort, and you've kind of been a legend.
It's done now, isn't it? You don't need me anymore. But hopefully
we always need you, Craig.
We will see you in James Cook. When's the next dates? Can you remember off the top of your head?
Is it April?
April
and
and June of next
2
year.
dates in April, 2 dates in June.
Yeah.
Sorry, I need to say thank you to my husband as well.
Oh yeah, he did a lot behind the
Ben's
scenes.
done a lot as well.
Yeah, Andy put up with you during all of this process
yes,
as well, because
lots of
obviously it was
stress.
quite stressful, wasn't it? But yeah, he did also help out on the editing as well. So he helped capture a lot of the sound, because we were worried that the audio was going to be one of the troubling points, as it always is on an aeroplane, So
And practically made the game.
yeah.
But yeah, if anyone else wants to give us a hand, if they listen and they want to help and get involved, then we're always after people to come and give us a hand.
Yeah, so like I say, any great ideas or even people with real life experience in these kind of things, we're always happy to listen in. All right, well, thank you very much for coming and talking to us today, and I wish you all the best for the future as well, because I know that this is a fantastic course, and I know it's definitely going places. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode at the SimTech Podcast. A huge thank you to Channon and Helen for joining me and sharing the insights into the off-duty doctor's course. It's inspiring to see how simulation can be used in such a practical and supportive way. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow the podcast so you never miss out in future conversations with people shaping the world of clinical simulation. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep simulating, keep innovating, and I'll see you on the next episode.